Live. There we go. Good morning, good afternoon,
Good
good
evening.
evening, everyone. Syndicating live across the globe. It's the How to Make Microsoft Teams Your Phone System or Everything Teams Phone live with Rick and
Brandon.
Brandon, G12 Communications. Sorry it took so long to get started, everybody. Hair and makeup was taking a little longer than normal. I've got my production staff over here. I've got my hair and makeup over here. I've got editing sitting right there. So everyone's in their place now, and we're all set to get going on this live discussion with LinkedIn. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. Brandon, I thought I would start off with something pretty cool. We have the PowerPoint that we're going to talk about, guys. And we're going to get into the features of Microsoft Teams and everything. But to kick us off, I wanted to share something that was pretty cool. Has anyone out there, and you guys can give us a thumbs up, or if you have, or something like that, let us know you have. But there is a new Forrester research document out that is the total, essentially the economic impact of Microsoft Teams phone. So specific to Microsoft Teams phone. I'm curious out there, LinkedIn, give me a how about a Ric Flair? Woo! No, how about just a thumbs up if you have seen this economic impact thing. It is a pretty cool document to look at. Lots and lots of stats available for you to share with your prospective customers, or internally if you're an organization looking at adopting Microsoft Teams. This lays it out for you. Let me just share a couple of I'm going to share a couple of slides here. If you're an enterprise out there, or if you're a small biz out there, I'm going to share this with you right now. Let's just bring this up and share this, because man, is this pretty cool. The amount of information that's available for us here. So let's take a look at this screen here. Okay, so here's the executive summary. I just took a couple of the images here and thought I'd show a couple of these before we get started, because it's such an interesting thing to look at. For an enterprise customer, and they give you the stats of the enterprise customer, how big that enterprise customer is, and all that stuff. You're looking at this, and it's ROI 143%. The payback was under 6 months. The total cost of ownership, savings is 45%, and they break it down. Where are the cost savings coming from? It's replacing the existing voice solution. It's replacing telephony support, the support component, and it's improving the efficiency of communications across the organization and externally with your customers as well, right?
And that Rick, the thing I'd add, because I actually probably spent a little more time than I should have this morning going through this report, and just seeing some of the testimonies down further in the report from real enterprise, small business, and medium business consumers that have actually seen and have testament to these cost savings. And it goes back to everything we already preach, and that's the ease of use, the streamlined nature of the Microsoft ecosystem that reduces the complexity, and maybe even the amount of resources you need to bring the whole solution together. It's a pretty cool report when you get down and you start reading those testimonies.
Well, if you can identify as one of those categories that that they're kind of breaking the numbers down for you. If you identify as an organization that is a small biz, or that is an enterprise, and you're looking at adopting Microsoft Teams, and your organization internally is asking you questions like, how do you justify the licensing cost? How do you justify the cost for Operator Connect or Direct Routing? How do you justify this? This basically lays every component out for you. And I didn't spend as much time as you did, but I will, going through the document. Big pictures. I'm like a goldfish. Big pictures catch my eye, and so I saw these big pictures, and I'm like, "Oh, that's amazing! This is great." So everyone, we can kind of catch up with it together and go through this. But let me show you if you're a small biz, and if you're a small biz, I mean, the small biz I think was a bit bigger than a normal small biz is thinking. But if you look at that, the stats hold true here, 146%. And there's an amazing one over there in a second here, 146% ROI. the TCO. So this is what's amazing from a savings perspective, 82%. I mean, that's massive for an organization that is looking at changing the communication style and maybe a bit concerned about what that looks like. And you look at this total cost of ownership and the savings that you see, 82%. It's, I mean, that's just off the charts. Um, not really because it's on a chart, but uh, the benefit. And again, where do the savings come in? Replacing the existing voice solution out there, whether that is a legacy phone system and a legacy telephony or a UCaaS solution. A legacy, I'll call it a legacy UCaaS solution. It's almost fun to say because we still deliver quite a bit of UCaaS services with Microsoft Teams as an example. And then improved communication. I think you can break that. And in fact, they do break that communication down, what that looks like. Improved communication with your customers and improved communications internally in the organization. So you start to calculate what that time looks and what that time looks like, and what the benefits to the organization look like. And they break it down for you. So that is such a cool report. If you want a copy of this report, let me know in the messaging there. You can send me a note on LinkedIn. You can send us a note on YouTube. Just send me a little note and I will send this over to you. I'm sure you can look it up online and pull it down from somewhere else. But if you don't want to, just let me know and I will shoot this report out to you. So you've got a nice crisp copy in your inbox, not in your hands, in your inbox. All right, Brandon. Let's talk about Microsoft Teams today. Not that we haven't been, but Microsoft Teams as a solution, guys. Let's take you through this intro. Oh, one more announcement before we get started. Sorry. One more announcement before we get started. We are going to be broadcasting live from London next week. Brandon, Bradley, and I are traveling this weekend to get to London. We have a show that we're attending. It's the Capel Group Cloud Communications Summit for technology leaders or for telecommunications sort of leadership or people, I guess. So we'll be there at that attending that summit. So we thought it's a great time to get other folks involved in this show. And our special guest is going to be Tom Arbuckle. He's going to join us. He is a Microsoft MVP. He is the founder of Empowering Cloud, co-founder of Empowering Cloud. If you are a Teams admin, if you're interested in understanding Teams a bit more, empowering.cloud. And I'll throw that in the chat real quick. I have to do that on my phone here. So empowering.cloud. You can head over there. It is really cool. Lots of experts in the space talking about very specific components of Microsoft Teams. They go through licensing. There's the devices that they go through. There's managing analog lines connected to Microsoft Teams as an example. There's a lot of different really specific technical support in that platform. And it's really good to be a part of that if you're in the business of managing teams, or if you're in the business of selling Teams to organizations or selling telecom services to organizations. This is really handy for you to become part of the Empowering Cloud family there. Okay. So live from London, Tom Arbuckle. Dan Pearson from Pingco is going to be on there as well. Sorry, Dan. I didn't mean to leave you out there. Dan Pearson's going to be a guest on there. And then the elusive Rick Coma, who is the CEO of G12 Communications, my business partner, the co-founder of G12 Communications, will also be on that show live, laying out his thoughts on UCaaS, on collaboration, on the market. And then we have a special announcement on Tuesday related to, I'm not even going to say the word, but it's obviously it's about Microsoft Teams, but I'll let that, we'll save that for later. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just say press release coming soon.
Press release on Tuesday. It's a big announcement. It's going to be awesome. All right, Brandon, why don't you talk about who G12 is and what we do, man? That'd be great.
And I got to get a bigger window so I can see your PowerPoint. I'm not as good at you as given the history of a company, because I'm not I'm the technical guy. I want to talk about details and technical details. But I can
give it
take
a run,
swag
man.
at it.
Let's see. Take a swag at it.
So, everyone's heard Garcia's probably story on G12 Communications and how it starts with, Garcia and I, we met back at a company called 360 Networks many years ago. We probably both looked a little different back then. But him and our CEO Coma and myself, we come from kind of the 360 days where that was a company that built, owned, and operated a fiber network, and then on top of that, we laid down a pretty massive CLEC network. So obviously, we come from a deep background of telephony at a wholesale scale. So in 2011, I can't speak to the founding of G12 because I did not join G12 in 2011. Garcia, you'll have to speak to that.
I'll pick it up from there. Yeah, you want me to pick it up from there? I mean,
yeah. I was just gonna say, like aside from the history of G12, I've been involved with you and Coma over the years, even though I wasn't a part of G12. So I've watched and had the privilege of coming alongside you guys along the across the years to help provide my opinion around technology and all of that. So it's been cool to be able to step into G12 in recent history and really dig in and pick up where that over the years collaboration left off. So
yeah.
I'll let you speak to G12 though.
No, it's been awesome. I'm glad you joined as our CTO. So essentially, just real quick, going back to the 360, we provided wholesale services to guys like Vonage, 8x8, Nextiva, all the different voice collaboration guys out there, Google Voice, J2 Global, who is eFax, all those different carriers were our customers. So as Brandon mentioned, he's part of the technology team in building this massive CLEC network across the fiber infrastructure. So it gave us a real good grounding on voice product infrastructure, and it gave us a really good understanding of how organizations were using our services to deliver to the enterprise space. And then we looked at it and said, we could go deliver a really amazing solution because we have all this deep understanding, and we launched G12 Communications. Quickly, we did some Microsoft stuff early on. So in 2014, we started doing Link SIP trunking. Does anybody remember Link? How about a thumbs up if you remember Link, or a thumbs down if you remember Link? So there you go. We did SIP trunking into Link. We did direct routing in 2019 or 2018. We did the integrated cloud PBX with Microsoft Teams starting in 2019, about 6 months before the pandemic, as an example. So we were kind of early to that start, and really kind of catapulted us into a different category because over the course of those 2 years, our growth was basically that proverbial hockey stick that everyone talks about, because we were doing this integrated Teams early on. And now, obviously last year we were inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Microsoft Hall of Fame, inducted into the Operator Connect platform. That's the ecosystem of carriers within Microsoft Teams. There's a lot of requirements specific to getting into the Operator Connect ecosystem, and that includes physical connectivity into Microsoft Teams. Hold on, everybody, we're getting to Microsoft Teams. We're going to get there. And so now, I mean, our history basically has really been tightly associated with Microsoft. We do a lot of healthcare, government, financial, and enterprise. I'll skip over this pretty quickly, but I'll tell you one thing that I don't put up here, and I should. Nonprofits and academic institutions. If you're a nonprofit or if you're an academic institution, you most certainly need to be looking at Microsoft Teams as your telephony solution, because it saves you guys a ton of money. It just does. And it's an amazing platform. We're going to get to the features that we like the most that are deployed regularly in the enterprise space. Some real quick numbers about Microsoft Teams. 280 million active users. Brandon, what's the number on the E5 licenses? That somewhere around, what is that number these days?
I don't even remember. I don't remember if it's 40 million or.
Yeah, I think it's about 40 to 45 million E5 subscribers. A total telco sort of PSTN users sitting around 15 million. That goes up nearly 500,000 a month is what that goes up. It's pretty significant. So basically, what you're going to see is this massive gap start to close. And this gap is 15 million PSTN subscribers with 45 million E5 subscribers. What that means is that 30 million subscribers are sitting on an E5 license and are not utilizing the phone system. Wait until you see the amazing things the phone system does, because if you see this, you will then go, why am I not using Microsoft Teams as my phone system?
And
And I'd be asking the same question.
and I want to interject because I actually saw a really interesting stat. I believe it was just last night. I was kind of thumbing through some tech news, and where your cursor is at, where it's talking about around that 15 million PSTN users on the Teams system, which I'm sure that number's bigger by now, right? These
Yep.
these are
Yep.
kind of older stats. And I'm not going to name drop, but I would say Microsoft's one of their biggest competitors to the phone ecosystem, and I think we all know who that name is. Their last earnings report, and I'm not getting into
Yes.
the financials. I'm talking about how many active subscribers they have. I think that number's at about 5.5 million active
Mm-hmm.
phone users. So I mean, when you look at the economy of scale, that says something about Teams, right? The adoption of the Microsoft phone system, you know, it's interesting that their competitor has maybe a little more brand recognition around phone capabilities, collaboration maybe not as much, but I mean look at Microsoft. They're 3 times the size from a PSTN phone user subscriber perspective, which when you start talking about the benefits and even the financial side of the rate of return and cost of ownership, I mean the evidence speaks for itself where Microsoft is headed with this entire solution.
Well, the ecosystem is fantastic, and we haven't even jumped into the ACS stuff, and nobody probably knows what we're talking about when we're talking about. If you know what I'm talking about when I say ACS, I would love to see your comments in the space, because the the Power Automate and ACS, you combine those things, it's crazy. And I'm going to stop using those terms because it doesn't mean anything to a business at this point, but it will soon. Okay, so lots of growth in that space. Just real quick, last comment on what you were talking about. That earnings report, I did see that, and the growth prospect for that particular organization is like 1%.
Yeah.
1%. It's terrible. Anyway, okay. All right. Let's get on to the next thing here. Let's licensing real quick. I'll just say this. If you have an E5, then you've got the phone system built in. If you have something else, it's about $8 a user from a licensing perspective, sometimes a little lower, depending on who you buy your licensing from. And if you are a nonprofit or a school, I think it sits right around $3.20 for your license for the Microsoft phone application. Compare that to what you're paying either from a maintenance perspective for your phone system, from an MRR perspective, monthly recurring cost, MRC, monthly recurring cost for your UCaaS system, or to your support that it takes to manage either system. Those sorts of things. Compare that when you add that licensing cost to a cost of Operator Connect, let's just say, and you start to realize why the numbers stack up the way they do in that total economic impact for Teams. Real quick, I'll go through some of these things really quickly here. Too complicated, too isn't reliable, and can't connect phones or physical analog devices. Let me just tell you, everyone, phone system from Teams is a normal phone system. If you're a retail location and you've got phones laid out everywhere and you want phones, physical phones, and you just want to know, I just want a normal phone system. Teams is that normal phone system. Just because it's a soft phone, and just because there's a mobile app, and just because it's software that, that you kind of just, you can't put your hands on it. The Teams platform is a normal phone solution. You can connect normal, not necessarily Teams phones. You can connect Teams phones to it, obviously, but there you can also connect a whole slew of normal voice over IP phones that you may have left over from your UCaaS provider, or watch this, or from a Cisco platform that you have sitting on Call Manager, as an example. Brandon, what's that phone in the very back of your shelf over there, buddy?
Oh man, you probably can't see it next to my 6 coffee makers back there, but it's a Cisco 8861, I believe, or 8860. I can't remember. I'd need to see the model
What's it
numbers
connected
in front of
to?
me. But it is actively registered to the Microsoft phone system with no native Teams firmware.
If you're a company that has VoIP phones sitting on your desk, if you have Cisco phones sitting on your desk, if you're selling, solutions to organizations, they may not need to spend CapEx to get new devices. into the organization and utilize the Microsoft Teams phone system. We're going to show you in just a few minutes why you would want to use the Microsoft Teams phone system and what's it going to do for your business. Okay. Isn't reliable. It's 4 nines, 53 minutes of downtime a year. That's every phone system I can tell you it's probably, gone down for a whatever it's going to be, maintenance or whatever it's going to be. So like 53 minutes of downtime a year is amazing. Too complicated. It is not complicated when you work with an easy button type of company like G12. I wish I had one of those sounding boards. Who's the guy that does the financial show where he's like,
Oh yeah.
I forget his name, but
Chris something or something like that.
oh man, I can't remember, but he has all the little buttons right there. That'd be pretty
Yeah.
cool. I do have one of these things, guys. A little Stream Deck thingamabob. I just don't have it connected yet. I just plugged it in.
It's not integrated to Teams phone system yet.
Stream Deck with StreamYard. Okay, it's not too complicated. I'm going to skip all these phone deployment tips. You can ask me for my PowerPoint if you want to see the PowerPoint. If you're an organization that wants to understand and wants these tips on how to deploy, then we can talk about it. Brandon, let's kick things off with some features and let's talk about some of these things at a technical level.
Yeah, and I was going to say we should get in and maybe just start doing some show and tell, because the one thing I do want to try to get to today is, even the Power BI reporting functionality for auto attendance, call queues. Because since last week I actually got it set up. It's working to it. I don't have it modified or anything to be super custom, but I'd like to show our viewers what they can do with that, because I know. Probably one of the questions that companies are going to ask when it comes to auto attendance, call queues, if they just need basic call center type functionality, can I get reporting? So I want to show what we can do with Power BI and kind of what that looks like.
I love it. Then fire away. Let's jump in there, guys. Brandon's going to pull that up and share your screen. I'll just talk about the little sphere that we've got of features. So there's some screen pop action right there, and screen pops are basically the integration for any CRM or application that you use. There's hundreds and hundreds of applications that automatically work with it, and that's through the work that Microsoft has done via Power Automate. So you look at if you just want to throw your Salesforce in there, your Zendesk in there, your Zoho, your HubSpot, whatever it is, you can get your screen pop instantly as the call comes in. I have my HubSpot tied to my Teams interface. So I've got, whenever I get a call, HubSpot pops up with the contact that's calling me and the Teams caller. And Brandon, you just share your screen whenever. I'm just going to keep talking until you do.
Yep. I'm about ready. I am trying to rearrange my 18 monitors to make sure I share the right content.
All right, very good.
I exaggerated that a little bit, but
6 monitors, not 18.
Share screen. I'm going to share audio just so that we can kind of demonstrate a few things. Let's see. Share.
Voice-enabled auto attendance. I love that.
Okay, here we go. Let's see how this looks.
Fire away.
I'm taking over. We're dropping right into the Teams Admin Center. Kind of where I want to spend a little bit of time is, more around the auto attendant and call queue and what can be done with that, because then it's going to play into showing the Power BI reporting behind it.
Now, just while you do that, I do want to say, like Microsoft Teams Admin Center, there's something really cool coming, and that's going to be you're going to be able to adjust, and it may be GA right now, I'm not sure, but you will be able to adjust you see all these tabs or all the little navigation things on the left hand side. You're going to soon be able to, if you're not already, able to minimize what you see to the things that you really care about and manage on a daily basis. Because as you see it, if I'm a normal sort of maybe I'm a CEO of a company or the co-founder of a company, and maybe the phone thing isn't my thing, but I do some of this work, or I do like to poke in there, and that's that's overwhelming. I mean, the IT guys will do it, but it's a bit overwhelming, and I look at that and go, that's complex. If you can organize it cleaner, then that's great. You'll be able to do that soon. It's not a fancy looking UI. It's really, really functional though. So, all right, go for it.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say there is, if you're familiar with phone systems, I don't know that I've ever seen a super, like blow your mind clean menu option, right? Most of your phone systems are designed pretty similar, where it's navigation tree based, where you're clicking through. So the fact that Microsoft's working on a way to help organize that for just quick reference, that'll be good to see that feature. I don't think it's here quite yet. But anyway, with that stated, let's just like quickly go through the admin center side, and then I'm going to pull up kind of the user experience side, and then we'll wrap it up with Power BI to kind of show what some of this stuff is that we're looking at. So from an Operator Connect perspective, I'm on the voice tab under phone numbers. I just want to call out that this is something unique to Operator Connect and probably the Microsoft calling plan as well. Direct routing, you don't see your number inventory in here. You don't have the ability to, manage the numbering right from within a nice clean single pane of glass. It's usually with direct routing, you're procuring your numbers from your carrier. Maybe that's G12, maybe that's someone else, and then you're manually loading those numbers against the user. So that's just something I want to show that from right here, you can begin to define whether a number is going to be an app-based phone number or a user-based phone number.
And by app, you mean call queue and auto attendant, those sorts of things. There's a cool announcement that just went live on the just speaking of call queues and auto attendants. You want to talk about that? Actually, it hasn't gone live. It hasn't gone live yet. Sorry, but it's about to.
I assume you're referring to the feature where now your office manager or your supervisor or whoever it may be will be able to manage call queues, auto attendants, time of day type routing from within the client facing application versus needing the full Teams admin that they may not be familiar with.
That's it. That's the
nice,
feature,
clean,
man.
Easy day-to-day management.
That's the feature. If you're an organization that has a distributed, 50 offices, 20 offices, and you're security conscious, which you should be anyway, but you're not going to hand your Teams admin interface to everybody, but there may be a reason for you to hand it to an office manager, a regional manager, so they can take control over, maybe it's weather, inclement weather announcements on their phone system, things like that. So now you can hand over those tasks and that control to those extended sort of leaders of the organization. And that's coming really soon. And that's going to be a huge game changer, because no longer do you have to have the, tight controls of the Teams admin center just to manage the phone system, right? You're going to get that distributed out to the organization.
Yep. And then the other thing I just want to call out, because, we don't necessarily call it out in our presentation, is, from an upfront, when you're setting up your business and you want your auto attendant, your call queues, to manage the call flow. The one thing when we're talking about like that Forrester report around the total cost of ownership, the other big thing to note is if your number is a voice app assigned number, so it's going to an auto attendant or maybe to a call queue, those licenses are zero cost. Right, you're not actually paying that Teams license, that $3 to $8 per license, or E5, right? That's a zero cost license to bring that PSTN call into your organization to make decision-based routing logic to whether it's going to a user, voicemail, whatever it may be going to. So for the big companies out there going, well, we got 30 auto attendants. That's 30 times 8. No, that's 30 times 0. So zero cost for that.
There you go.
All right, so let's pop down. The one thing I do want to kind of show real quick, because when I go to demo this, we're going to be looking at this 800 number, and you had mentioned CRM integration. So what I want to real quickly call out is in the calling policies, you can define a policy and apply it on a per user basis. So you'll notice I've created one called call recording with screen pop. That policy is doing exactly what it's titled to do. And I'm going to go into that policy and just point this out for people that are maybe curious. Well, how do you do screen recording or call recording or screen pop? That's just a simple setting change, right? We're going to enable call recording for calling. The default is off. So when you create your policy, you're going to turn it on. If you want that real-time transcription where it's also recording the call and transcribing speech to text, you're also going to flip the transcription on. It's that simple, right? It's 2 settings, you're done.
So I'm a financial planner, let's just say, organization. I've got, 40 traders or 40, money managers of some sort. And I want all the calls recorded and I want the transcription of the calls, logged. I can just turn it on specifically for those individuals only, not the entire organization. So that doesn't get kind of caught. I can just really focus in on the granular data of the conversations that they're having from a transcription and recording perspective. When I say granular, I mean, you'll get to the Power BI stuff later, but really making everything searchable and data points in the communication or customer experience. Yeah.
Yep. And the only thing I'll call out here is this is what Microsoft calls convenience-based call recording, not compliance-based call recording. So, there's going to be business cases where convenience is sufficient, meaning you can do call recording on demand. But if you're looking for compliance, that's probably another live webinar we'll go do separately, because that's a whole topic in and of itself. Yeah.
You've got a solution for that too.
Yeah. So the last piece I'm going to call out is the screen pop. In the case of my demo, I'm going to pop off to Zendesk, and I'm just going to simply pass in the calling phone number to do a CRM search for that caller to see if they've got tickets opened and customer information on that caller. Again, this could be integrated into Salesforce, HubSpot, pretty much anything you want, because as you can see, it's just URL based screen popping while passing in variables. Okay, so the way to turn that on is this open apps in browser for incoming. You got to enable that, and then you've got to define how you want to do it. The other gotcha that I see is, I'm going to pull over the user experience for a second, because this is something that I'm not sure Microsoft has a maybe automated or given an automated way to do it outside of maybe PowerShell scripting. If you expect the user to get that screen pop, there has to be a setting enabled in here. And now let's see if I can remember where it's at, where I have to turn on, also in the client side, I have to turn this open apps and browser on the client. So what Microsoft is doing is, from a phone system perspective, they're pushing that instruction up to the client. When the call comes in, that client needs the instruction to say, yes, you're allowed to go open that screen or that browser. So just calling that out. There's probably policies that can be set, and you can push this out to multiple users at a time. But we've seen it where customers want that, and then they call us back and say, how come it's not working? And we have to remind them to turn this setting on a per caller or a per user basis.
Per person basis. Yep. Very cool. The CRM pop, for you, every organization has an application that they're working in, right? Whether it's a hospital that's, doing patient, patient sort of in not inducing, but patient intake, right? Whether you're even, we did a, gosh, what was it? It was an animal hospital or a veterinary, that has a bunch of locations. They've got their CRM that pops up in front of the caller, so they can see who's calling them. Is it an existing client with Poofy, coming in, the kitty cat, right? So they can see all that stuff. So it's really cool to have this tied to whatever application you're working in as an organization.
Yep. Speaking of kitty cat, I'm going to pull my browser. I'm going to pull my browser over. It just happens to be a kitty cat on. This is the Brave browser. They throw an ad in there, so there's your cat. But I'm pulling this up to get ready for the screen pop demo when I make the phone call. What we're going to do is, I'm just going to quickly go through the auto attendant and the call queue, and then we're going to go do the demonstration from the client side. And there's a couple things I'll point out there. We'll maybe turn on some call recording transcription, and then we'll pivot and look at Power BI, since we're down to about 20 minutes.
Perfect.
I want to kind of try to be done here in maybe 10, 15 minutes. So,
all right, buddy, have at it. Let's go.
All right. So auto attendants, obviously, your auto attendant is going to be, your main entry point into your business. If you're a big enough organization that you want to logically begin to, route calls based on the user requirement, meaning, are they calling in for support? Are they calling in for billing? Are they calling in for sales? Are they calling in for, HR, whatever the case may be? So what I've set up, and I know you and a couple others were testing with this yesterday, so hopefully it's not changed enough that I'm going to get unexpected behavior. We'll see. This is our demo environment, right? So people are in and out of this all the time. But here's our 800 number. This is the number I'm going to call, and we should, enter into this main auto attendant, and we're going to go down into the call flow, and we should get a greeting that reads or speaks back exactly what I've typed in here. So this is, one of the cool benefits of, the Teams phone system is if you don't like your voice, or no one wants to create a recording for you, you don't want to pay for that professional recording, you can simply come in and, add your greeting on the fly. And I will tell you, if you make a typo, it's using text to speech, so you're going to know there's a typo because it's going to try to pronounce phonetically what you type. So make sure you don't have typos.
I was going to say, if it's going to pronounce it phonetically, maybe you do want a typo every now and then to really kind of get across any emphasis on, enunciation that you want. Yeah.
Maybe we'd have to test that and see. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call in, and I'm going to try. I shared my audio, so when I call in, the viewers should be able to hear this, greeting, and then we're going to move down through. It's a simple auto attendant. It's for sales, press 1, say or press 1, or I guess say sales, and then 2 for support or say support. So again, this is an interactive IVR, right? So I don't have to necessarily press 1. You know how it is, you're on your mobile phone and it wants you to press 1, and you got to go, you fumble around trying to find your dial pad on your phone. It's really nice that it's speech interactive, so you can just speak it. Yeah. And then we're going to go down through, and it's important for maybe the technical viewers to see how easy it is to set this up, right? So I'm typing all of this stuff in. I'm adding the keys that I want based on the prompting. I'm giving it the voice command word for recognition, in this case sales and support, and then I'm redirecting the call to the next destination in the call flow. And in this case, it's going to 2 additional auto attendants. And the reason for that in this example is so I can control business hours based on department, right? So sales likes to work a solid 4-hour day.
24/7, baby.
Yeah. 24/7 minus 16. No, I'm just but I do this as an example. I did shorten down the sales auto attendant hours just so that, as you're doing a demo, you can see how you handle after hours type stuff. Whereas support might be 24/7 and you don't want to impact that, right? So I'm using auto attendants to set, the business hours based on the silo that call needs to be routed into. And then how to handle obviously holidays and whatnot. What I will say is the main auto attendant in this one, it's 24/7 until you get into sales or until you get into support. That way you always reach the business, you're always handled as a caller, and best practices used. And then of course tying it to that resource account that again has a 0 cost license on it so that the PSTN call flow can work. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the call flow, and I'm going to try to make this phone call and see if we can't. 1, you'll have to confirm, Garcia, that you can hear it. And
Got
then
it.
2, we'll see if we can actually get into. We're gonna call into sales because sales is actually open for another 18 minutes. I need to actually skinny it down so I can actually show both after hours and working hours.
I was going to say, my job has been reduced to confirming if something works.
Now, the other thing I want to call out is, unless your agents need to make outbound calls, you don't necessarily actually need to have the user licensed with a phone number for an auto attendant. The call can still be routed to the user. without a license. It's just that if the user needs to make an outbound call, then they do need the dial pad, which means they need the license. So that's something to take into consideration. If you're an inbound intake only company and you want to cut costs a little more, maybe you don't need to license those users that are only taking that inbound call from the call queue.
Good point.
All right. So let me grab real quick. I'm going to be lazy about this. I'm going to copy and paste this number back to the call flow, and let's see what happens. I'm going to dial that number. And we should get a greeting. And let me get the client back up. Do you hear the audio?
Thank you for calling G. I think you said 2. Is that correct?
No.
Say yes or no. Okay. Did you say TCAP? Say yes or no.
Well, that's not a good demo. Let me recall that. Demos never go the way you expect them to go.
They should. That's Daredevil Dan, who's going to be on with this next week. Oh, I better stop talking.
Thank you for calling G12 Communications, where we provide purpose-built solutions and services that enable you to successfully move through your digital transformation journey. For sales, please press 1 or say sales to speak to a G12 sales representative. For support, please press 2 or say support to speak to a support representative.
Sales.
I think you said sales. Is that correct?
Yes.
Say yes or no. Thank you for calling G12 Sales. Your call is important to us. Please hold for the next available sales representative.
Now what you can't see is I have a call pop up on my other screen. And there's the screen pop. And I accidentally just hung up the call, but the screen pop will finish.
I did think I thought I heard the screen, the phone call ending.
Yeah. I accidentally connected the call.
That's all right. And so there's the screen pop.
Yep, we can demonstrate the screen pop, and you see that it recognized. You can see up in my browser tab, it's got my source phone number, and it recognized myself as a contact inside of the Zendesk organization. Now, if it was a customer calling, you would get tickets associated with that customer and additional data. But obviously, I don't have enough data against my own name to show anything. But you get the idea. This is kind of the behavior of that CRM integrated screen pop for calling.
Yeah. Well, that's one of our favorite features. You've got the auto attendant and the complexity in which you can design the auto attendant for your organization. The fact that it's voice enabled makes it really handy. Like the example you gave about the mobile phone, looking for the dial pad, the dial app, on your mobile device. It's nice to just be able to say sales, the call recording, the transcription, all those things. And matter of fact, that would be a great one to show Brandon, the transcription and the recording.
Yep, I'm calling back in, but I'm going to call in from my cell phone, one of my cell phones, so that I don't get a feedback loop in my ear here.
Very good.
So here, come on. We're going to get another screen pop. Again, I'll close this one. Let me get my. Okay.
While he's working through that, couple of things that want to bring some attention to: end-to-end call encryption. So if you're a HIPAA compliant organization, if you need to be HIPAA compliant, PCI compliant, end-to-end encryption for your calls, call statistics, and we're going to show you what you can do with Power BI templates that we have here at G12. It's pretty awesome. I'm going to stop talking now.
So here comes the screen pop.
Lost your audio there, buddy.
There
you go.
I've got to reshare my screen and get rid of the audio because you're probably getting that feedback loop, I assume.
Yeah. Emergency calling is 911, obviously, so that everyone is Ray Bomb and Carrie's Law compliant. You know, as soon as he makes that call, I'll stop talking about that stuff. But emergency calling, you know, you can choose the different addresses that you may be at that are in the Teams client that are static in there. You can choose the different locations. You can build a new location as well. When he calls, I'll stop talking. I talked about the reporting already. That's amazing. The call queues and call groups, call hold, call park, voice enabled channels, and voice enabled channels are very cool when you start to talk about ACS. Again, if anybody's listening, do you know what ACS stands for? And you can Google it and find out, but it's Azure Communication Services. Brandon, you fire away whenever you're ready. I'll
Yep,
stop.
it's hooked in. So, oh, my audio still sync. Still here. Yeah.
Yeah, still a little hiccup on your audio.
Okay.
I don't think your computer likes to handle like the 3 different headsets and 7 different screens and all the different things you've got going on there.
Yeah, let's
talk about some.
It should be sharing the audio.
Let's see. Are you launching a call?
Do you hear the audio still?
I just hear you.
Oh, wrong screen. Okay, so I think I have it fixed. I just need to reshare the right screen.
Reshare the right screen. I'll talk through a couple other things. Webinar events are in there, guys, and there's a new thing called Teams Premium. But the webinar events is really amazing because we can go build webinars. We don't do it on this particular LinkedIn live show because we need to stream into LinkedIn and we use a different tool for that. Otherwise, I'd be using Teams all day long if I was giving traditional webinars. Simultaneous ring external users and internal users. Music on hold. Obviously, you heard the PSTN music on hold. The networks and locations when you're building out. I'll stop.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right. Okay. I was going to let you finish.
Oh, so when the building out your network locations is really cool because you can go load the amount of users that you have at a particular location and do some network analyzing and how that's going to impact your network, because everything from a network perspective should be reviewed and looked at whenever you're deploying Microsoft Teams so that you can ensure the best experience for your end users, your team, your employees. Again, if you're a consultant, if you're a technical person, obviously you guys know this, so I don't need to tell you guys this, but ultimately you want a good experience for everyone because it is a tool that's worth having the right solution in place or the right network components in place for the solution, because it helps an organization tremendously. You got the pop coming on here. Should I tell me when to stop? All right, go for it.
So I've got the call up. The call comes in. This is the caller coming in. The thing I want to point out is if you're in a queue and you receive a call, you're going to get told that the call is coming in from the queue, right? And that's kind of small probably on the screen, but you can see that it's my phone number and it's saying, hey, this is for the support queue. So it's indicating to the agent or whoever's in that call queue that this is coming in. They're calling about support. And then what you can do, again, this goes back to the convenience-based versus the compliance-based, right? I can record and transcribe this call. So let's go ahead and just start recording.
Oh, that's exciting. We're going to show it.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to unmute and listen to myself talk for a second. So again, it tells you that the call is being recorded for legal reasons, right? For the one-party or two-party consent states. And now you can see that as the call is recording, it's also transcribing, as the person is talking.
That's cool.
And if I'm going to mute myself, so you may not hear me, but I'm going to start speaking into my cell phone so you can see the caller being transcribed.
There's the caller info coming through.
So the other thing I want to call out is you can also do, and I like this feature, is the maybe we turned it off. It's the real-time transcript, or not the transcription, but the closed captioning.
Closed caption.
Yeah, it looks like someone must have turned it off because I don't. Oh, here it is. Turn live. They just hit it under a submenu. So I'm going to turn on closed captioning as well. It's going to do the same thing as live transcription, but it's not going to save it. This would be more for the TTY hearing impaired type solution. So now you can see down here, it's doing it in a real time, kind of like what you'd see on a TV or something, and it's pretty accurate.
That's awesome. I mean, that's just so helpful. On the transcription side in general, I had a call with a law firm as an example. And if you know, I mean, obviously, if you're on with clients and you're taking notes and you're jotting down what you're talking about and what you need to go do and what are some takeaways. I mean, this is your note taker, basically ready to roll all the time in your calls. And this is shared or stored in your SharePoint along with the file, the recording of the file, and it becomes searchable information. So again, if you're looking to improve your customer experience and you want to understand how people in your organization are communicating with your customers or vendors or whatever it may be, this is an easy way to go capture that information and create rules and policy around how communication to customer experience should be.
Yeah. So, and on that note, then once that call ends, if you've recorded it, you're going to get the call recording. You're going to get the transcript that you can then, review. And then obviously there's a lot of back end integration work you can do. Again, I screen popped Zendesk. You could actually go develop in and take all of this data and go auto populate it into your CRM for historic. Let's say it's for support and you open a ticket. Now you've got the whole conversation downloaded right to the ticket so that any support person reviewing tickets that was not a part of that phone call can review the phone call without searching for that transcription somewhere else.
That's awesome.
So I know we're getting very close to time. There's one last piece I want to call out, which is also a pretty common question we see, and that's, hey, if a user is skilled for multiple skills in a contact center, let's say they're handling support and sales, can they make a phone call and decide how to present themselves to the caller from a source telephone number? And the answer is absolutely. And that's done. I'll show you here, and then I'll quickly show in the Teams Admin Center, and then we'll get to Power BI and we can wrap it up. So I'm going to dial my cell phone, but before I dial it, if I just hit call, it's going to source from my user assigned phone number 720-664. But let's say I want to make the call as if I'm coming from support. So I want it to be the toll-free number. Ignore this. You can label this however you want. This is just happens to be how I labeled it, and it doesn't mean anything, but I'm going to make that phone call. Hopefully I dialed my number correctly so I get the phone call. Yep. So I'm going to answer that. And what you can see is the 800 number is what displayed.
Yep. So when organizations have a person that handles different accounts or different roles, maybe it's different companies within the same company, because a lot of times we've dealt with organizations that have multiple companies within the organization, and they want to depict a particular calling, a person calling outbound, so they can do that within Microsoft Teams in this interface. If you go through just in 30 seconds or so, I was gonna say bring the end user interface back up, because a lot of organizations out there may deal in Microsoft Teams, but they may not understand what the Microsoft Teams phone system looks like. So you see the phone icon off to the left, you see the dial pad there. As Brandon showed you, there is the caller, the source number that right below the dial pad. There is your call history. What is that location? 911 information?
This is 911 location. It can be detected based on corporate policy. It can be the user can be allowed to roam and update that. Call forwarding behavior, obviously quick access to headset if you want to switch your headset. Yep. Call history, voicemail. And then Perfect. Of course, and it's all kind of collapsible. So then you've got speed dials, other contacts. You can customize your panels to kind of meet your needs.
Just an amazing collaboration tool. Microsoft Teams Phone. We're all about. Oh, here you go. Let's do the Power BI stuff. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
because we're down to 3 minutes, so I just want to
Go
give
for
people a sneak peek. This is, really, really simply put, this is a Microsoft provides the template and the instructions. We certainly could probably link it up to this video if anyone's interested in messing around with it. But it's an API integration to your Teams tenant, and all it's doing is pulling the kind of the CQ data from Microsoft on your auto attendants and your call queues, so that you can start to get a view into where calls are coming to, where they're routing to, and how they're being handled. And this is important for businesses. They want to know what their traffic patterns look like. So I'm not going to go into specifics here, other than, you can see how many calls happened. You can see the average time that a call spends in an auto attendant, average actions that it's taking the user to respond. So that keys you into whether your auto attendant is designed properly, or maybe the user's getting stuck somewhere. You can start to figure some stuff out pretty quickly, all the way down to now we can look at call queues. We can figure out what our abandonment rate is. We can figure out like what call queues, how long a call might have been, or an average time a call might have been in a call queue. What happened to calls if they were not handled. In this case, you see that we had a timed out call that ended up routing to voicemail, which means it probably sat in the queue too long. It hit that max time limit, and so the behavior that we designed it to do is kick it to voicemail. Obviously, that's very customizable.
So real quick, I'm going to ask you a question. I mean, if you're a contact center, and I'm not talking about an omni-channel contact center, but if I'm a contact center and I've got, 20 people sitting in a call center, and I've got, normal Teams phone service, I've got the call queues all set up. I've got people in the call queues. They can come in and out of the call queues, things like that. I've got that all set up. Is this enough information for me to manage this contact center properly? Is this enough? Does Microsoft Power BI template, does it provide enough information for me to make good business decisions around how my customers are being handled?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would call, and I think you already called that out. If you're not looking for that true, all-in-one, do everything contact center solution, and you're not necessarily looking for the real-time analytics of what's going on in the queue in the moment, because that's one thing that Microsoft is not providing in this, right? This is post-call processing, right? This is after the call has happened, and now I'm getting, it's somewhat delayed. I think Microsoft says somewhere around 15 to 30 minutes for the reporting data. So if you're just looking for historic data to understand how your business is performing from a call perspective through the auto attendants and call queues, this is probably sufficient. But if you need to go beyond that for real workforce management, that's where, again, we've got a solution option for that. That's more, fully matured contact center. But this would get, your small businesses, this is probably pretty sufficient for what they need. Again, I can get down to what users handled what from which queue, right? So I can see that this user took, a call from the support queue. I can see how long they were on the call, really your standard metrics around auto attendants and call queues.
Excellent. Okay, so everyone, real quick, we've hit the time limit here. Thank you very much for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. There's a lot going on here. Microsoft Teams, I'm just going to bring it to your attention again. You can use existing legacy phones, whether they're UCAS phones or like Cisco phones. Some reasons why you would choose Operator Connect in Microsoft Teams. Well, because it's super quick to deploy your solution. It's robust, easier deployments, enhanced support and reliability. Why? Because we have physical connectivity into Microsoft Teams. It's affordable. Not only do I tell you it's affordable, but it actually is affordable when you look at the economic impact from Forrester. The migration is really seamless, because if you're moving from a legacy phone system over to a physical or to a Teams phone system, there's just no overlap there. It's nice and easy from that. And then from an adoption perspective, everyone knows how to use Microsoft Teams. It's about a 5-minute tutorial on how to use the template there, the interface for your phone service. That's I'm going to leave it at that right now because there's so much to talk about. It's tough to cover in an hour, but I will say tune in for London show because we've got 3 guests joining us. It'll be 5 people, 5 experts sitting on this call. You're going to have Rick Coma, the CEO of G12. You're going to have Tom Arbuthnot, the co-founder of Empowering Cloud, Microsoft MVP, and all-around massive influencer in the Microsoft community. And you're going to have Dan Pearson, the CEO of Pingco. He's doing a keynote at the show that we're going to as well. So you're going to have this amazing group of people talk about everything Microsoft Teams, to talk about the announcement that we're laying out on the wire on Tuesday. So just lots of Microsoft goodness coming in the next week. So please join us. You'll see an invitation from me, I'm sure of it, for the next one live from London. Everyone, thanks so much for joining us on Everything Teams Phone Live with Rick and Brandon. See you later.
Have a great weekend, all.
See you guys.